Alright folks, and welcome back to the channel. We're here to discuss today's game as Celtic drew 0-0 with Rangers at IBROX, and probably the worst Old Firm I think I've ever watched. I'm joined by Alistair to go over what was a pretty dreadful game. How you doing, Alistair?
Aye, good, Dross. Sorry, folks, I'm to blame because every time I go, we end up either getting beat or we draw.
Aye.
Now, uh, me and Josh had a heated discussion earlier, so he
Hated, aye.
he was trying to scare him. I I took it for what it was, a point away from home against our rivals. But I get what he means. I thought I can be happy with the point, but the performance told us everything we already knew that because we're punchless. Let's no beat about the bush here. We're punchless at the moment.
I know, well, completely. And you'll be pleased to know that my views have not changed since we had that phone call after the game. I mean, that was just two really poor football teams, and if that's the best that Scotland have to offer, then I'm sorry to say, but we are generally that's actually fair for the foot. It's the league, to be honest with you. But as you said, on the flip side, we'll get into both kind of sides of it. It is a
I
point at
don't
Ibrox.
think any is wrong, to be fair.
I know, and I think a point at Ibrox is obviously good, but I just think the performance was no pathetic for me of a Celtic team. But we'll obviously get into everything. The team selection, which I'll put up on the screen in just a moment, was pretty self-explanatory.
Aye,
Uh,
it's pretty routine.
we started with Schmeichel in goal, Ralston, Carter Vickers, Liam Scales, Kieran Tierney, Callum McGregor, Rio Hatate, Arna Engels, Michel Angebar, Quisha come in for his debut, Benjamin Nigren out on the right hand side, and Dyson Maeda up top. Um, Alistair, to be honest with you, man, I mean, it was. I just think that, like the derbies we've had at Ibrox and probably Celtic Park, we didn't seem to have a clue in terms of trying to fight and try to. We didn't. I just don't think we've got a tactical idea, which I'm going to get into as well when it comes to manager because I'm going to. There's a lot of people at fault for this week at Celtic, which
Aye.
we've discussed, but the manager today did not help himself. I don't know what's happened to Brendan's mojo in this fixture. Um, Near enough a year to the day, we're beating them last season 3-0
Aye.
convincingly.
The last league one, actually.
Aye. And that's a year. That's not, call me maybe entitled or spoiled, but that's not good enough for a Celtic manager, in my opinion. And it's even worse when you look at what Rangers teams he's come up against in that time. He came up against Philippe Clement's team, which is generally one of the worst teams I think I've ever kind of seen in terms of a Rangers side. Barry Ferguson, who was plucked off the radio,
Aye.
out tacted him, let's be honest. And then Russell Martin, who we have slated and I've openly said is not a good manager. But what does that say about our manager? Now, I completely understand, Alistair, that he has maybe had two hands tied behind his back with other things with the board and recruitment. But I think there becomes a point where you go at, right, recruitment's not helped him, but he still should be doing a lot more with the players that he's got there. And that's the standard I look on today. I think he should be doing more, and there should be more tactical advice with the players that he's got at his disposal at the moment.
I think we, as I say, Josh, hopefully, hopefully we'll get quality. To use the manager's favourite phrase, but I think what he should have done, and this is the one critique I will give him. He should have played to his players' strengths. I mean, the whole Naigrin Hatati, it's not working in midfield. The
Why
balance is all to hell.
we may as well discuss the midfield because I actually agree with you. I think the midfield is just not working. It's not been working for months. I don't really. People say, "Oh, why not playing Bernardo?" Why? I don't know. This is why I think it's bigger than.
It's bigger than an individual.
I think it's. I think it's tactical. And I'm Brendan Rodgers' biggest fan, but I did say on the preview, if he can't get a result, there would be questions. I felt he'd probably get away with it a bit on Tuesday night because a lot of the anger was took out on the board members. But to honestly, I think in terms of tactically, Brendan Rodgers, for me, has to take some of the blame today because I don't think it matters what players you put in. I just think there's a tactical flaw and there needs to be some sort of tactical change made to this squad because it's not working in derby games at all. Rangers have got the better us in derby games. Maybe not today. I think it was pretty equal. I think it was two both pretty poor sides, as I said, but recently Rangers have got the better, and I just don't see what Rodgers is doing to try and fix it. I think he's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
I'll be honest with you, mate. I think the major difference in why they look better in derby is they've got a plan.
I don't think we've
And,
got a plan.
and it might not always work, but they've got a plan and they know what they're doing and they know what upsets us.
Aye.
Physicality.
It's,
Physicality.
I don't think it's physicality, but there's points just for me where I've been looking for Brendan Rodgers to try and change something up, and that's why people are talking about the midfield. The midfield it's not working. I think he needs to maybe over that international break look into it and go right. What's not been working? Because let's be honest, the midfield's been non-existent in not just the Rangers games. It was non-existent on Tuesday night. It's been non-existent for most of the season. And midfield is meant to be your so-called
Strongest
best part of the team.
part.
But I just think with the comments everybody's saying about obviously, maybe I just think it shows how disjointed I think this Celtic team's pretty disjointed if you ask me, to be honest.
It's no well balanced, is what I would say.
Aye.
Good individuals, but no well balanced. And I've always said this, Josh. A Celtic team, I'm pretty sure we've discussed this off camera. A Celtic team is only as good as its forward line. And
Aye.
I'm finding myself at the moment saying, what forward line? To be honest.
We've not got one at the moment in terms of the forward line. The forward line is pretty shockingly bad. But I think Brendan Rodgers has got a lot of questions. I think I'm one of Brendan Rodgers' biggest fans, but his style of play is getting quite tedious and quite frankly boring. And it was great we got a point at IBROX, and a Celtic team took 70 minutes to get a shot on target at IBROX. Not acceptable, in my opinion. Not acceptable. I remember years ago we slaughtered Neil Lennon because he didn't have a shot at target in a derby. I mean, so it's not really, and I get that Rangers didn't face much. Is that good? Us being good defensively, probably in bits, but I just think they're a really poor side as well. I don't think there's actually that.
Can I be totally honest with you, Josh? I think the defence in a lot of games is kept us in it, to be honest. Because the will come a game will go behind. And thankfully it's no cost us yet. But I do believe we need a cutting edge. And I'm sorry if it keeps going on its own about players all the time, but players win you games.
Aye. No, I know. But what I was going to say is, and this might become a shock to a lot of people, there's nothing between the two teams. But both as bad as each other.
The only thing is we've somehow managed
we've dug out results.
Every mistake they've made.
But you know what the most disappointing thing for me was in terms, and I'm disappointed. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I know a point IBROX a good result and we'd have took it, whatever, blah blah blah. but the performance was a joke.
Yeah, it's
And
not
if people think
against
I'm being ultra
the
negative, then
to be honest.
fine, but that was a really poor side we were up against today, and we just looked as poor. And you look at Club Brugge on Wednesday night when they played Rangers, they had like 32 shots on goal. We had
Yeah,
2.
I know.
I mean, come on, man. It's not good
Um,
enough.
we only had one corner, I believe, as well.
I think it one corner,
One corner or two corners or something.
which
No,
really
the
we done nothing
bait
with
the
them.
corners right
Aye.
enough, but the point is, if you can't get in, I mean, I felt we'd, 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 we we were passive, is the word I would use.
Alright,
We've been
Robert.
passive for a while now.
We've been passing since New
Like,
Year.
and
Um,
Munich, maybe.
I'd even say Dundee United at the Christmas period last time was when this started, and it's continued. It's continued, and as I said, Brendan obviously isn't being helped because he's maybe got two hands tied behind his back because other people in the club don't want to spend money. But at the same time, tactically, I don't think he's helping himself either. Like for instance, like we obviously seen Barakwisha make his debut today. Now, when I've been watching Barakwisha on like your YouTube clips, he's been taking the man on, and that's why I've been quite excited about him signing whatever else. I think that's what Celtic need. But then he's playing for us today, and he's cutting him back in the side. I'm like, right, come on, this is tactical. It's not working. We're no, and maybe if he does get the players in, it might change. I don't see it. If I'm being honest with you, I think Brendan Rodgers is going to have to maybe suss something out to get his clicking again because we've no clicked, as you said, since February, in my opinion. The
Aye.
Scottish Cup final, we were dreadful. Up to the Scottish Cup final, we were dreadful. And we put it down to, there's not much pressure on us. But you've got to look at it and go, right, this.
The word I would use to describe both teams today, and but we only care about Celtic, so I'm gonna. But I would say the staleness in Celtic's play at the moment. It's no nice to watch.
But why do you think it's still? Because seeing a team, you need to try and replace those players with new, fresh players because I think Rogers kind of alluded to it in his post match, and he said there's been players here maybe that we need to kind of freshen it up, and that's the thing. Alistair, in terms of the front line, they done nothing. Bagwisha, I'm going to immune from criticism because
I
he's
agree.
probably got one of the toughest jobs in Glasgow today. Kind of put in there first game because yet again the bold's
No
incompetence.
many, no many players in Celtic's history have had a derby in their first game.
Aye, and the only reason he's got a dab in his first game is because the bold's incompetence. That's what it
Yeah,
is. And so I'm going to hang him from criticism. Maida for me was useless again.
yeah.
I,
He's not completely off one, but he's pale.
But that's what I was talking to. I spoke to Nathan after the game, and that's what I was saying to him. So that's when you should have the options, right? So Brendan Rodgers should, and this is where I do have sympathy still for Brendan Rodgers. But you should have that option to go and say, well, Dyson Maida maybe isn't playing that great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, drop him and bring somebody else in. But he's not got that option. And I think I know we like Dyson Maida, but I do think maybe a time out in the sidelines might do him a bit of good.
Well, it might be good. This is my hope, Josh. We come back for the international break, and we're a new viver and a new energy, and hopefully some new players. That's my hope, because I've said it all season. Regardless of what I think, good point today or not. I think this squad won't sustain us. It won't.
I've got a feeling this squad's coming to the end of its cycle.
No, I just mean for this season, Josh. It
Aye.
won't sustain us.
Um, and I listened to the Celtic way after the game, and I think it was John McGinley made a good point, and he says the aggression from this Celtic team, and that showed the aggression in terms of signings and in terms of the manager's tactics. The manager at that first half of this season, last season, was getting everything right.
Yeah.
You know, we had the players in the door, and we were motoring, we were absolutely steamrolling teams.
Yeah.
A year later, we are toothless.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be honest, Josh. That it's almost like the club is what's the word? It's eating itself from within. I think.
Aye.
And also
Um,
what I would say is, and I'm going to say this, only Brendan Rodgers could somehow get 10 points out of 12 with this shambles going on in the background.
I do get that, but I actually agree with you to an extent, but at the same time, I look at it and go, right, well, Brendan is not really, because I genuinely think with that team out there, we should still be going to IBROX and getting a result, because
Yeah,
I don't think that Rangers team are that great under that management, and that's what pisses me off, and that's what I look to go, well, that's when I look and go, that's tactical, that's a
yeah,
tactical thing, and I
for
think Brendan Rodgers is being outclassed by, we talk about Brendan Rodgers being this world class manager. I'm not seeing it at the moment, unfortunately, because he's been out tacticked by managers that we call shite or we call rubbish. And that's when I think Brendan Rodgers is going to have to do a bit of thinking, because he'll know by Tuesday what he has got to play with in terms of players and signings. So see when we come back from our national break, it's up to you, Brendan.
there's
It's up to you to
there can
find
be no
somewhere.
moaning. There can be no moaning.
Well, we can't moan anymore. Now, does that make it right? Or, well, does that make it when the transfer window shuts that, or the bold on to blame and Rodgers takes all the way? No, I'm not saying that. But at the end of the day, Rodgers is paid to try and get a football team winning in the park. He's been doing that, in fairness to him. But this week's been a complete ridiculous week for Celtic.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
it could still get worse, to be
if
honest.
John, if John Suter was on side,
We'll get a defeat.
which he wasn't, but if he was, you're talking one of the worst weeks in Celtic's modern history.
Aye, probably, and then it could
I
probably get
can't
worse.
think any worse, to be
Aye,
fair.
what we're doing in the window, because you compare Russell Martin, right after the game. Somebody asked him about signs. Oh, we've got two incoming. Bold as brass.
Aye.
Brendan Rodgers. Well, I'll need to speak. I don't know. I'll need to speak.
We need to speak to the board after we
And you're
leave here.
like, that's the difference. Now
Yeah,
the difference is as well that they are managed by an idiot. I mean, managed by but I say that. I say he's an idiot. Brendan Rodgers couldn't get the better of him. So
yeah, I
that's what
know.
I'm trying to say. Brendan Rodgers is going to have to do some deep thinking, because it's not working. His tactics aren't working. It didn't work on Tuesday night. And don't get me wrong, we needed players, and don't get me wrong, the Bulls should be criticised for that. But you're not telling me that team weren't good enough to beat China or Matty on Tuesday.
Yeah, I honestly think, Josh, okay, I think a lot of players are too comfortable in there.
Exactly. And that's why you need freshness. Now,
Yeah,
obviously the window shuts tomorrow night.
11
Obviously,
o'clock.
we spoke about how we're looking to try and get players in, but I dread to think what we are going to actually do as a club tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I, right, cards on the table, Josh. I'm not, no doubt we'll do a podcast at some stage tomorrow, right? I, I, I am not going to go and come in here and go, whoopee, we've finally got the 3 players that we need, right? Because I already think it's too late, and they've cost us £40 million with their arrogance and and their and their lack of urgency to get things moving. And let's call a spade here. They probably cost us Brendan Rodgers in the long term. That's the thing.
I think even if I'm at the point now with Rodgers where I think if he does go to summer, thanks for everything, but
It might be a good thing.
not a good thing. But I think I've got really bad. Like his third season here last time, I've got
Yeah.
really really bad. Um, it's just too slow. It's too passive. And that's what annoys me because you see what Rodgers can do. So if Rodgers was our manager next season, I'd be fine with that. But I don't think he will now. I think this has been too much a shambles.
Yeah,
The manager,
that was my kind of point, Josh.
aye,
That's what I meant when I said they're going to cost us Rodgers eventually. You know what I mean?
aye. But I don't know. I really don't know what we're going to do over the next 24 hours or so.
Yeah, well,
I think, I think, I think
26
we're,
hours, 13 minutes.
I think we're going to be severely disappointed. To be honest with you, I think we're going to be even more disappointed. To be honest,
Right, Josh, can I ask you a question? How many do you think we'll get?
one
And I'm allowed to ask what position you think that'll be in?
striker.
Right.
No, I'd love to be proven wrong, but just the way this window's going, I have got no faith. And I spoke to you yesterday off recording, Alistair. I have got no faith in the club to do anything now. No faith. And that's the thing. That's it. Look, and yet again, it's the fans that are suffering again. Now, see if we had some good attacking talent in that park, could we have won that game? Yes.
Yes.
The problem is we don't. Now the fans who go there, spend their money, need to wait 2-3 years to actually see the game, need to be there at 9 o'clock to get served that up.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm sorry, man. And you were
Well,
one of these supporters.
I left the house at, let me think, 8:15 this morning, and I was home at 2:30.
Aye.
And I'm not going to lie, although under, I was relieved and happy that we were still ahead.
Mm-hmm. And that's probably the only
By more,
positive.
yeah, it is.
Aye.
And let's be honest, the, the only reason our best player today was Liam Scales,
Aye,
easily,
no, it was.
easily, and 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 also I thought Tony Ralston done reasonably well on Gassama.
There was a
Well,
few
yeah,
times
I
when
thought he would do, to be honest. But I just like to. I would. I would have liked to have seen a wee bit more. Okay, it still might have been a draw, but I would have loved to have seen a wee bit more creativity, a
see,
wee
see,
bit
if
more
it's-
panache.
see if it was a draw, right, and Butland was pulling off save after save like he was all night. And there was, real creative there that you could see what Celtic were trying to do. You could see that Rodgers had changed and tried to something different. But no, we got a draw today because Rangers are just as bad.
Yeah,
And that it goes back to I'm going to say that's a positive, but then it goes back to the whole thing. We're slightly
better.
better than Rangers, So I
The
mean,
only, the only thing we're better at than Rangers is beating the teams we should be beating.
aye, no,
Quite
but I think the board and the club have got a massive 24, 25, 26 hours ahead of them. And
yeah,
even
yeah,
if we did bring 3 or 4 in, for me, it doesn't salvage it. I've made it clear it does not salvage anything
And
because it's too far gone.
and I don't want to speak for the podcast, Josh, but people say, what's the names? We're not going to discuss names because it makes you look a complete and utter arse. Basically, if we discuss names in this podcast and they don't appear, you just think, why
Well,
did I do that?
well, it looks like they've batted herself in a corner with the strikers. There's only one name, and that's Casper Dolberg.
Yeah,
So I
yeah, I
will
know.
name names. The winger that we could potentially bring in is that boy from Hanover, but they're farting about with that as well. And do you know what, Alistair? See the embarrassment as well of this morning Oladimi that isn't in the squad. I isn't even on the bus. But then 2 days later, I'm not letting him go until another striker walks in. It's been an embarrassment. We've been called out
Yeah,
with
well,
clubs such as Swansea, Preston, Go Ahead Eagles. I think there was somebody else as well that had been
I'll
called.
tell you what's happened there, Josh. Um, this is an educated guess, but I think Rodgers has been told, listen, he's going because we can't afford to turn down this money because, quite frankly, we won't get it again.
Aye, but what they can't afford as well if they don't bring in a replacement of adequate quality. Because I'll tell you what, see if they don't, I think people will generally start going, you know what, fuck your Europa League package.
Yeah, I
'Cause I don't
know.
want to go to Europa League European games. You're watching fucking Johnny Kenny, Callum Osmond, and Shin Yamada trying to score goals for us in Europe. That's the one positive about. I thought Shin came on and looked pretty decent. Tried to,
Yeah, at least there's a bit of fight about him, Josh,
aye.
yeah.
And that's probably one of the only positives on the park. I thought Giga, who wasn't really having a good game for Rangers, we only put him under pressure. Shin comes on, he's banging into players, trying to make himself a bit of a nuisance.
We only started winning fouls when he come on. I
Aye.
mean, see, to be honest, if 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 that's maybe me, um, that's that's what I think, mate.
Aye.
And all Shin showed was a bit of hunger, a bit of desire, put himself about with a point to prove.
And that just shows how far we're looking for somebody to kind of make a difference when we're going, oh, he backed into players. You know, that should be the bare minimum. But, you know, I thought
Yeah,
it was okay and probably
always
one of the
putting
only
himself about it. Aye.
Probably one of the only positives of the game for Celtic. Alistair, before we finish up, we think we already discussed this, but who's your man of the match? Obviously, really poor performance, but for me, there's only one.
Liam Scales. It's got to
Um,
be.
I I wouldn't even say man of the match. The people who deserve to get pass marks, there's only one for me, and that's Liam Scales.
Aye.
Um,
And
thought that
I will say, Josh, and I don't mean me when I say this. I don't know if you could hear the Celtic supporters on the telly, but they were really loud, and and I think that stuck with the team, even though the game was turgid. Let's
supporters are never the issue. It's people in
no,
these boardrooms that are the issue, and people who Rodgers came out with this rubbish that these people in these boardrooms want the best for Celtic Football Club. I don't fucking believe that. But
no, that was
that's
a
no surprise.
politician's answer. That
The fans pay their money and they back the team, and they're not repaid for what they do. For me personally, they buy European packages, but that's no surprise. But as I said, Alistair, board have got 24, 25 hours to actually try and salvage something, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I don't really think. I think we'll be
no,
very
I
disappointed.
don't.
Probably.
I don't think me and you are expecting. Well, I'm certainly not expecting an Arne Engels type signing. Probably the closest to it would be um, uh, Casper
But
Dolberg.
this is our problem now. We've not learned from last season, right? Because The only reason Alan Engels cost £11 million, the only reason Adam Either cost £9 million is because we left it to the last minute, and clubs know that we are desperate as fuck for a striker, so they'll just go, name your price. Here's the price, non-negotiable.
And prices out, basically.
And then not even prices out. We'll sign maybe Casper Doga for £10 million or £9 million, and then some people turn around and he's not scored 5, 6, 7 goals. He's not a £10 million player. Newsflash, he's not a £10 million player because Celtic have overpaid that money, and that's the problem. But as I said, Alistair, they've got hours to try and do something. I'm not holding my breath. I think when we come on here tomorrow, we'll probably be speaking and probably ranting and raving, because that seems a yearly tradition on this channel on deadline day to rant and rave.
I'm still getting over Adam's loan for not having an option to buy.
But no, as I said, we'll see what happens. But I'm going to wrap it up there for that post-match reaction to Rangers 0, Celtic 0. If you could please like and subscribe, just gets the video out there.
Before we finish, Josh, you're going to get at 1 minute past 11, you're going to get, and welcome back to the club, Adam Ida.
Aye. No, I wouldn't even surprise him. But anyway, if you could please like and subscribe on the video, just helps get the channel out there. And as I said, me and Alistair will be back tomorrow with a video just summing up the transfer deadline day. Hopefully talking about a bit of news.
I'll be a bleep machine, folks. So put the kids to bed, turn on Boys and Green, and just listen and hold your tongue.
Aye, I know, but hopefully we've got some news to talk about. But we'll see what happens. But until then, we'll speak to you later. And hail.
Hail.